Delta Force, one of the most elite, secretive, and deadly special operations forces the world has ever seen.
Delta Force, the U.S. military's most secretive and elite unit, operates in the shadows, where legends are born and silence is survival. You've heard whispers of their daring missions, but what if we told you there's a whole side to Delta Force you've never heard? From untraceable operations to recruitment methods that seem straight out of a spy thriller, these are the jaw-dropping secrets hidden behind classified walls. Buckle up, because what you're about to discover will completely change how you see these ultimate warriors. Let's dive in. Number 8. The birth of Delta Force. In the mid-1970s, the world was becoming more unpredictable. Terrorist attacks, hostage situations, and unconventional threats were on the rise, and the United States military knew it had to adapt. Traditional military tactics weren't always effective against these new dangers. What was needed was a small, elite team that could move quickly, act precisely, and operate in secret, anywhere in the world. This idea found its strongest champion in Colonel Charles Beckwith. A tough, battle-hardened soldier, Beckwith was no ordinary officer. He had fought in the Vietnam War and was a respected member of the Green Berets, the U.S. Army's elite special forces. But perhaps the most defining part of his journey came when he was assigned to train with the British Special Air Service SAS, one of the most feared and admired special forces units in the world. Beckwith was deeply impressed by how the SAS operated. Their discipline, speed, and ability to take on missions that seemed almost impossible opened his eyes. He returned to the U.S. convinced that America needed a similar force, highly trained, always ready, and capable of striking at a moment's notice. At first, not everyone agreed with him. Some thought the idea was too risky or unnecessary. But Beckwith didn't give up. He presented detailed proposals, shared lessons from his time with the SAS, and made a strong case that America's enemies were evolving, and the military had to evolve too. After years of pushing, planning, and proving his point, Beckwith's vision became a reality. On November 19, 1977, the U.S. Army officially created the first Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, better known today as Delta Force. This secretive unit was built from the ground up to handle the most dangerous missions: counterterrorism, hostage rescue, and direct action missions deep behind enemy lines. But the true test of Delta Force came just a few years later. What was the first mission? Let's dig into the details. Number 7. Failure in the first mission. In 1979, American diplomats and citizens were taken hostage in Tehran, Iran, during a violent uprising. The situation quickly spiraled out of control, and traditional diplomatic and military options failed. In response, Delta Force was called in for its very first mission, Operation Eagle Claw, a daring attempt to rescue the hostages and bring them home safely. The mission was incredibly complex. It required coordination between multiple branches of the military, precise timing, and flawless execution. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. In the middle of the Iranian desert, mechanical problems grounded some helicopters. Then, in a heartbreaking twist, a helicopter collided with a transport plane during a refueling stop, resulting in a fiery explosion that killed 8 American servicemen. The operation had to be called off. The hostages remained in captivity, and the mission was labeled a failure. However, as tragic as it was, Operation Eagle Claw became a turning point for American special operations. The mission revealed serious weaknesses in planning, coordination, and equipment. But instead of giving up, the U.S. military used the lessons learned to rebuild and reorganize. One of the biggest outcomes was the creation of the Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC, a new body designed to bring different special forces together under one umbrella for better planning and execution. Another was the formation of the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, a team of highly skilled pilots trained to fly missions in the toughest conditions. Today, Delta Force remains one of the most respected and secretive units in the world. Its birth came from one man's vision, its first mission from a nation's need, and its evolution from painful lessons learned in the harshest of circumstances. With the birth of Delta Force known, let's delve into the details of her notable missions and operations. Number 6. Trials by Fire. For more than 40 years, an elite unit of the U.S. Army known as Delta Force has operated in the shadows, taking on some of the world's most dangerous and complex missions, known for their silence, precision, and relentless focus. These operators are the ones called in when all other options have failed. Their work is often classified, their names unknown, but the impact of their actions is felt across continents and generations. Let's walk through 3 incredible moments in history where Delta Force stepped out of the shadows and into the heart of chaos. The first stop takes us to 1983, on the small Caribbean island of Grenada. A sudden coup had thrown the nation into turmoil, and American citizens there were at risk. In response, the United States launched Operation Urgent Fury. As the situation quickly escalated, Delta Force was deployed to help restore order. The team dropped into hostile territory with little warning and faced heavy resistance, along with logistical confusion. Maps were outdated, enemy positions were unclear, and communication between units was often broken. Still, the operators pushed forward, showing remarkable flexibility and calm under fire. While the operation had its setbacks, what it revealed was Delta Force's unmatched ability to adapt in real time and stay focused on the mission, no matter how unpredictable the battlefield became. A decade later, in 1993, Delta Force would again find itself at the center of an even more intense and unforgettable operation, this time in the dusty streets of Mogadishu, Somalia. The mission: capture a powerful warlord, Mohammed Farah Aidid, who had been terrorizing civilians and obstructing humanitarian aid. Alongside U.S. Army Rangers, Delta Force launched a raid that was supposed to last just an hour. But when 2 Black Hawk helicopters were shot down, the mission spiraled into an 18-hour street battle. Amid the chaos, 2 Delta Force operators, Sergeant First Class Randall Shughart and Master Sergeant Gary Gordon, made a decision that would define true heroism. Seeing a crash site surrounded by hostile fighters, they repeatedly asked for permission to go down and protect the wounded crew. When granted, they inserted themselves into the fight with almost no support. They fought bravely, outnumbered and outgunned, until they were both killed, but not before defending the lives of their fellow soldiers. Their selfless actions earned them the Medal of Honor and sealed their place in military history as symbols of loyalty, courage, and sacrifice. Fast forward to 2016, and the mission was very different, but just as dangerous. This time, Delta Force played a critical role in a high-stakes joint U.S.-Mexican operation to recapture Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the world's most notorious harmful substance lord. The mission, named Operation Black Swan, unfolded in the dead of night. Mexican Marines led the raid, but behind the scenes, Delta Force provided crucial tactical and intelligence support. Their expertise helped guide the operation to success. This quiet involvement showcased the unit's versatility, able to move from direct combat to complex law enforcement support without missing a beat. It was a reminder that Delta Force doesn't just operate on the battlefield. They can strike in cities, jungles, and anywhere threats arise. Across these missions, different times, places, and enemies, one thing stays the same: Delta Force's unwavering dedication to getting the job done, no matter how dangerous, messy, or uncertain it may be. They don't ask for recognition. They don't seek fame. They simply do what needs to be done, often at great personal risk, always in service of something greater than themselves. They are the quiet warriors whose stories, though rarely told in full, continue to shape history. Officers of the Delta Force are not just like any officer. They're a special breed. Let's find out what it takes, in terms of training and ethics, to become part of them. Number 5. The making of an operator. When people talk about the most elite and mysterious military forces in the world, one name always stands out: Delta Force. Officially called the 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment, Delta, 1st SFODD, this unit is the U.S. Army's top secret, top-tier counterterrorism and special operations team. They are the silent guardians called in for the world's most dangerous and sensitive missions, and only the best of the best are allowed to wear their patch. But joining Delta Force isn't just difficult, it's absolutely punishing. The selection process is so extreme that it's earned a reputation as one of the toughest and most secretive in the world. Soldiers who already belong to elite units like the Rangers or Green Berets often try out. But even they are often pushed past their breaking point. The journey is designed to break you, to peel away every layer of pride and ego, and see what's left at the core. Strength and endurance are only the beginning. Candidates are tested for mental toughness, sharp thinking, quick decision-making, and above all, unshakable resolve. Many apply. Most don't make it. Among the most feared parts of the selection is a phase known simply as the House of Horrors. It's not a horror movie. It's much worse. This facility is a grim training ground that mimics real hostage rescue situations. Inspired by the British SAS's famed Killing House, it is a twisting maze of rooms, dark hallways, and booby-trapped corners where every second matters. In smoke-filled, dimly lit conditions, candidates must move fast and think even faster. Every room holds surprises. Maybe a terrorist, maybe a hostage, maybe both. And they have to make life or death choices in a heartbeat. One mistake could end the mission. In real life, it could cost lives. But this test is not just about how well someone can shoot or move. It's about staying calm when panic would be easier. It's about keeping a level head when your heart is pounding and your body wants to collapse. Candidates must prove that they can think clearly under fire, act fast under stress, and never lose focus, no matter how bad things get. Delta Force wants warriors who are cool in chaos, who don't crack when everything's on the line. And that's just the beginning. What sets a Delta Force operator apart isn't just what they do in training, who they become. These are not just fighters with muscles and guns. They are thinkers, planners, and leaders. They are trained to operate in the darkest corners of the world, sometimes alone, often in silence. Their missions may never make the news, but the effects of their actions can shape history. They've rescued hostages, stopped terror plots, captured or eliminated dangerous targets, all while the world sleeps in peace. Delta Force operators don't seek recognition. In fact, their work is usually top secret. They blend into the shadows, disappearing before anyone even knows they were there. Their success is measured not by headlines, but by the absence of disaster. They are the quiet professionals who risk everything, without expecting thanks. In the world of special operations, Delta Force isn't just a unit. It's a legend. It's a brotherhood, built through pain, pressure, and persistence. Its members are chosen not just for what they can do, but for who they are when everything else is stripped away. And while most of the world may never know their names, the safety and stability of nations often rest silently on their shoulders. What have their operations been like? Let's start by diving into the details of the daring rescue in Panama. Number 4. Operation Acid Gambit. In the heat of December 1989, Panama was on the brink of collapse. The streets were filled with tension, fear, and uncertainty. The country was ruled by a brutal military dictator, General Manuel Noriega, whose grip on power had become unbearable not just for Panamanians, but also for the United States. That month, the U.S. government launched a full-blown invasion of Panama, codenamed Operation Just Cause, with one primary goal: to remove Noriega and restore order. But hidden within the larger operation was a smaller, much more dangerous mission, one that would make history. This secret operation was called Operation Acid Gambit, and it was the first ever successful hostage rescue by America's elite Delta Force. At the heart of this mission was Kurt Muse, an American civilian who had dared to challenge Noriega's regime in a quiet but bold way. His crime? Broadcasting anti-Noriega messages over a hidden radio station, trying to awaken the Panamanian people. For that act of defiance, Muse was arrested and thrown into Cárcel Modelo, one of the country's most notorious and heavily guarded prisons. Rumors began to spread that if the U.S. invaded, Noriega's men would kill Muse before he could be freed. The clock was ticking. Something had to be done, and fast. What followed next could have been ripped straight from a high-budget action movie. But this was no Hollywood script. This was real life. In the pitch-black hours before dawn, a 23-man team of highly trained Delta Force operators prepared for one of the most daring missions of their careers. Supporting them from above were the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, better known as the Night Stalkers, an elite group of helicopter pilots skilled in flying fast, low, and silent under the radar. They flew in tiny but powerful MH-6 Little Bird helicopters, their rotors whispering through the night air as they headed straight for the prison's rooftop. The plan? Land fast, hit hard, and disappear before the enemy knew what had happened. To make the mission even more covert, U.S. gunships, massive AC-130 Spectres and AH-6 attack helicopters, rained down fire on nearby military buildings, drawing attention away from the prison. It was a masterstroke of distraction. But the Delta Force team didn't break under pressure. Drawing on their intense training and iron discipline, they set up a secure perimeter around the crash site. With bullets possibly minutes away, they used special coded signals to call for emergency reinforcements. And just in time, help arrived. Muse and the team were safely evacuated. The whole adventure, from the dramatic landing, sudden crash, to the unexpected rescue, unfolded in a whirlwind of just 6 intense minutes, each second packed with action, fear, and sheer disbelief. Operation Acid Gambit was more than a successful rescue mission. It was a display of unmatched courage, quick thinking, and the sheer will to succeed against impossible odds. It showed the world that U.S. Special Operations Forces could do what few others dared. This mission didn't just save a man, it reshaped the future of American military strategy, proving that no matter how deep behind enemy lines someone may be, they are never truly out of reach. Another legendary operation is that which recorded the successful capture of Saddam Hussein. Let's find out how it went. Number 3. Operation Red Dawn. After the US-led invasion of Iraq in 2003, one mission rose above all others: the capture of Saddam Hussein, Iraq's ousted and elusive leader. Finding him became a top priority as American troops advanced deeper into the country. For months, elite U.S. military forces and intelligence agencies poured their energy and resources into a massive manhunt. This intense search eventually led to one of the most dramatic operations of the Iraq War. Operation Red Dawn, launched on December 13, 2003. It wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment raid. It was the result of painstaking intelligence work, careful surveillance, and valuable tips from Iraqi informants who had once feared Saddam, but now saw an opportunity for change. The mission was executed by Task Force 121, a highly secretive and powerful unit made up of Delta Force commandos, CIA operatives, and soldiers from the U.S. Army's 4th Infantry Division. Their target was a pair of suspected hideouts just outside Tikrit, Saddam's birthplace and former stronghold. The sites were codenamed Wolverine 1 and Wolverine 2, inspired by the 1984 action movie Red Dawn, a nod to the boldness and surprise the mission aimed to deliver. With precision and speed, U.S. troops stormed both locations. Doors were kicked down, rooms cleared, and every corner was searched. But Saddam was nowhere to be found. For a moment, it looked like another false lead in the long, frustrating pursuit. But the team didn't give up. As they widened their search, attention turned to a simple farmhouse nearby. It looked ordinary, nothing to suggest it could be hiding one of the most wanted men in the world. Then, something strange caught their eye. A patch of disturbed earth near a grove of trees. It didn't look natural. Something was hidden beneath. The name captured how well it was hidden, like a spider's lair. What made it truly shocking? Inside that cramped dark hole was none other than Saddam Hussein himself, curled up, silent, and trying to vanish from the world above. But he was hardly the man the world remembered. Gone was the clean-shaven, uniformed ruler seen so often on television. The man who emerged was weary, disheveled, and worn down. His beard had grown long and gray, his clothes were dirty, and he looked more like a fugitive than a former president. Yet, even in that moment, Saddam kept his composure. He calmly said, "I am Saddam Hussein. I am the president of Iraq, and I am willing to negotiate." But there would be no negotiation. There was no gunfight, no resistance. He surrendered quietly, and remarkably, not a single shot was fired, and no one was hurt. After months of searching, the mission ended in just a few seconds of calm. The capture of Saddam Hussein marked a turning point. For the U.S. military and intelligence community, it was a major victory. For the Iraqi people, it was a moment of reckoning. The man who had once ruled with fear and violence had been found hiding underground, powerless and alone. Operation Red Dawn didn't bring an end to the conflict in Iraq, but it sent a powerful message to the world. No matter how feared or powerful someone might seem, justice can still find them. But have you heard of Pablo Escobar? Let's dive into the details of Delta Force's chase after Pablo Escobar, another operation of the Delta Force. Number 2. Operation Heavy Shadow. In the early 1990s, one man's name struck fear across Colombia and beyond: Pablo Escobar, the world's most powerful and dangerous harmful substance lord at the time. As the leader of the notorious Medellin cartel, Escobar wasn't just a criminal. He was a force that challenged the stability of an entire nation. His operations trafficked vast amounts of harmful substance, earning him billions of dollars while unleashing a wave of violence that left thousands dead. He ordered assassinations, bombings, and kidnappings without blinking. And he had a network of loyal supporters who were either paid off or too terrified to resist. Escobar even made it into Colombia's Congress at one point, using political power to protect his empire. As the Colombian government struggled to bring him down, the chaos began to spill beyond its borders. The United States, alarmed by the scale of harmful substance trafficking and its impact on American streets, decided to step in. It wasn't just about harmful substance anymore. This led to a covert U.S. military mission known as Operation Heavy Shadow. Under this operation, Delta Force, one of America's most elite special operations units, was quietly sent to Colombia. Their mission was not publicized, and their presence was kept secret from the general public. For months, they tracked him, gathering every bit of intelligence they could. Escobar was always on the move, hiding in safe houses, switching locations, and relying on a complex network of lookouts. He had a knack for disappearing just before raids, thanks to tip-offs from corrupt insiders. But the net was tightening. Then came the breakthrough. On December 2nd, 1993, intelligence sources finally tracked Escobar to a neighborhood in Medellin, his hometown and stronghold. He was hiding in a modest house, trying to stay out of sight. As Colombian forces moved in, backed by the expertise of their U.S. allies, Escobar realized he had been cornered. He fled to the rooftops in a desperate attempt to escape, just as he had done many times before. But this time, there would be no getaway. Gunfire erupted. Escobar was shot and killed during the brief exchange as he tried to flee across the tiles and brick rooftops. The exact details of who fired the fatal shot remain uncertain to this day. Some claim it was the Colombian police. Others believe it may have been a member of Delta Force, based on the precision and swiftness of the operation. What is clear, however, is that this was not the work of amateurs. It had all the signs of a well-planned, highly coordinated mission, one that only experienced and elite operatives could execute so flawlessly. The death of Pablo Escobar sent shockwaves across the world. For Colombia, it marked the beginning of the end for the Medellin cartel, whose power crumbled without its ruthless leader. Streets once ruled by fear slowly started to breathe again. For the U.S., it proved that international cooperation, when done right, could make a real difference in the fight against organized crime. More importantly, Operation Heavy Shadow served as a powerful example of what could be achieved when nations work together to take down those who thrive on violence and chaos. The combined effort between Colombia and the United States showed that even the most elusive criminal empires could be dismantled with strategy, patience, and international teamwork. Escobar's fall wasn't just the end of a man, it was the fall of a criminal dynasty that had once seemed unstoppable. And while the world has faced many challenges from harmful substance cartels since then, the story of his downfall remains a turning point in the global war on harmful substance, a mission carried out in silence, but remembered in history. Let's take another close look into the last moments of one of the leaders of ISIL, thanks to the Delta Force. Number 1. The final hours of ISIS leader Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurayshi. In the early hours of February 3, 2022, a major counter-terrorism operation unfolded in the quiet Syrian town of Atme, near the border with Turkey. The calm of the night was suddenly broken by the sound of helicopters as elite U.S. Special Forces, known as Delta Force, descended on a specific target, a modest house where one of the world's most wanted terrorists was hiding. Inside that house was Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurayshi, the leader of the Islamic State, ISIS. Few people knew him by that name. His real name was Amir Mohammed Saeed Abdel Rahman al-Mawla. Though he had lived in the shadows, far from the battlefield, his influence stretched across continents. He had taken over the leadership of ISIS after the death of its previous leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, who also died by self-harm during a U.S. raid in 2019, not far from where al-Qurayshi now found himself surrounded. That night, around 24 members of Delta Force, America's most highly trained special operators, had been flown in by helicopters. Their mission was supported by a powerful team. Apache attack helicopters circled overhead, ready to strike if necessary. Unmanned MQ-9 Reaper drones provided aerial surveillance, and fighter jets stood by watching the skies. The target was clear: capture or eliminate the ISIS leader hiding in the house. As the operators closed in on the building, al-Qurayshi made a grim decision. Refusing to surrender, he detonated an explosive device, killing himself instantly. But the blast did more than end his own life. It also took the lives of 13 others in the building, including women and children. The explosion caused massive damage to the top floor of the house and left behind a heartbreaking scene of devastation. This act of self-destruction was tragically similar to that of his predecessor, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, who also chose to end his own life in 2019 when he was cornered by U.S. forces under the leadership of Captain Johnny McDaniel. Al-Qurayshi, like al-Baghdadi, preferred death to capture, a final act of defiance that ultimately cemented their fates as fugitives brought down by their own hands. What made this mission particularly remarkable was not just the precision and coordination involved, but also the fact that it ended without any U.S. casualties. The American forces carefully evacuated civilians from the lower floors of the building before the explosion, in an effort to limit the loss of innocent lives. This level of caution and control is rare in missions involving high-value targets deep inside hostile territory. Al-Qurayshi's death marked a significant blow to ISIS, which had already suffered major setbacks in recent years. His leadership was more secretive and calculated than that of al-Baghdadi, but no less dangerous. His sudden removal created a leadership vacuum in the terrorist organization and sent a strong message to other extremist leaders. Nowhere is safe when justice is closing in. This daring nighttime raid reminded the world of the reach and resolve of counterterrorism forces and the cost of leading violent extremist movements. Though the mission ended in destruction, it also ended the reign of another shadowy figure behind countless acts of violence and terror. For the people of Atme and many others across the globe, that night may have brought some measure of justice, even if it came with the heavy toll of tragedy. Have you heard any of these things about Delta Force? Which one of them are you aware of? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.